Hello everyone, this is our tutorial video about how to do what's known as a salary cap draft. If at any time I call it an auction draft, it's because many years ago it was called an auction draft, but apparently that is no longer PC, and now we call it a salary cap draft. So if you just hear me say that, it's just because that's what it used to be called. Here's how it works. Every player in our league has a team, and you need to fill it with players. If you look over here, you see on this side the list of positions that our teams will all need to be filled. Quarterback, running backs, wide receivers. Flex is a position where you can add a running back, wide receiver, or tight end of your choice. Now the draft has begun. We have a defensive slot, a kicker, and the bench is for your extra players. Down here in this section, you have the list of how many players of each position you may have on your team. And this fraction shows you how many of that total you may have. Now, to begin the auction, we'll have all the teams randomly sorted here across the top. It really doesn't matter who goes when. It truly does not. This is not a snake draft where you get to automatically pick. It just is telling you it's your turn to nominate a player to bid on. And as you can see, the first person here has already done so. The second person's moved on. When it's your turn, you may choose any football player from down here that you wish for us to bid on. To do that, you simply, when it's your turn, say nominate, and they'll jump up here to the top. And over here, we have the current price and bid that people are bidding on this player. You, at any time, even if it's your turn or not, may bid on the player who's up for the salary cap draft. You simply click this button right here to add an extra dollar to the value, like I just did. When I did that, it automatically bumped it up. Somebody else jumped in immediately. I'm going to do it again. And when you click it, it resets the timer right here. It counts it down. Since I bid the most money for Jamar Chase, he is now on my team and shows up here. I have now spent 63 of my $200 on that one player. So keep this in mind. You have $200 to spend and only $200 to spend. You can't keep the extra money and do anything with it, so you might as well spend it. However, if you spend all of your money like I just did, or at least a big chunk of it on one player, that obviously leaves you a lot less money in future picks. Now that sound right there told me it's my turn to nominate a player. I'm going to nominate one of my favorite players, Travis Kelce. I click him. I can start at $1, or if I really want to go ahead and bump it up to something like 10 and just do it, I will. And now I am bidding on Travis Kelce. And we wait. Somebody else outbid me by a lot. And you can see the value for Travis Kelce is going up and up and up and up. And you just keep clicking the button until you are like, all right, that's all I can do. Now, there does obviously come a limit when you can no longer spend any more money. Please keep in mind, for each of these positions that you have to fill here on the side, you are required to spend at least $1. So at no point can you, like in poker, go all in and put all of your money on one player. You must reserve at least $1. So if you spend a lot of money at the very beginning like I did, you now have a lot less to work with. Up here in your slot here, it shows you how much money you have left. So I spent 63 on Mr. Chase. I'm now down to 137. So somebody who has $200, like Team Love here, can easily outbid me because I will be forced to spend a less value because I have less money. And so this is how it's done. You just keep nominating players, bidding on them if you want them. If you don't bid any money. And you keep going until your team is full. Now, here you see all the players that are in the NFL universe, as they call it, and it shows you their projections for the year. This is ESPN, and their team of fantasy football nerds trying to figure out how much do they think that this player is going to do this year. And they will automatically give a starting value of what they think is like their value. And as you can see, $51 for Mr. Robinson here, 42 for Mr. Chubb. Again, that is just ESPN making projections. You may think Nick Chubb is the most greatest player of all time, and you'd spend every single dollar you got on Mr. Chubb. Go for it. ESPN will just simply disagree. At no point does this actually tell you how they're going to do. We can't tell the future. For all we know, Mr. Chubb is going to get a broken leg in week 1 to be done for the season. So just keep that in mind. Now, while you are waiting in this draft, you can, if you wish, create a short list of the players that you're super interested in so that when it's your turn, you can immediately jump to that list and click the player. So I was talking about Mr. Chubb here. I can add him to my queue by clicking the queue button. He comes up here, and now I've created a short list of players that I'm very interested in. Now, Mr. Chubb is a running back. I am very interested in a quarterback. So if I want to, I can simply go here to this button, click on QB, and it's going to pull up all the quarterbacks. And yes, their values are much lower, even for someone like Patrick Mahomes. So ESPN places value based on the types of points that they're going to get, the number of receptions and yards and such. So you can trust that all you want, or you can just do whatever you wish. It's your team. So Patrick Mahomes here, he is clearly the highest ranking quarterback they have. No surprise. But let's say you're like, not very worried about him. I'd rather have someone like Joe Burrow. You can click him on the queue. It puts him up here in your short list. And now you can move on to your other positions. So I have one wide receiver. Let's go check out some tight ends. There we have our short list of tight ends. George Kittle. I like him. You keep adding people up here. It doesn't mean they're on your team. It just means that you've created a quick checklist of players that you want to look at when it's your turn. So we will keep going around and around and around till all players have had a chance to nominate an NFL player. Then we start all the way back and go all the way through. And we keep going and going and going until everyone has built their team. So it would be in your best interest to start to do a little research before the draft. Who are the players that ESPN thinks are highly rated? Who are the players that you are most interested in? And just have a small, short little game plan before you get here. Otherwise, just show up. We'll have a good time. Even if you don't, we'll have a couple of beers. We'll eat some chicken, and we'll have a good day. All right. Best of luck to you. See you at the draft.